1505 has nothing to do with immigration. It has nothing to do with border security. The debate about strategy, the debate about where deployment is, the debate about enforcement policies, the debate about comprehensive immigration reform, those all need to happen in order for us to be able to deal with the issue of security on the border and security in general for this nation. 1505 does nothing. It is a cover for an assault on 36 very fundamental environmental laws of this nation. And they're not just, we're going to waive them for 10 days or 30 days. They're in perpetuity once this gets passed. It's forever. And so I think as we wake the American people up to the reality of this legislation, and the reality is it's an agenda that's been around for a while. The Clean Acts, antiquities, wilderness designations, the processes from NEPA to ESA, all of them have been under attack for years upon years. But those are the bedrocks, as Mr. Markey said, of our environmental legacy in this country, that legislation. And so the attack is not so much, the ruse is enforcement and controlling illegal immigration. And that's the excuse, and that's the political cover for this discussion. What we have to do, all of us collectively, is peel away that misconception and that lie and deal with the real agenda. And the real agenda is to undo these laws. We should be concerned 2/3 of the people in America live within that 100-mile circle around the United States. And one of the witnesses is going to say today, and I'll end with that construction of a wall or a barrier in San Pedro River in southern Arizona was limited because they found a Native American gravesite, and they had to slow down and maybe check it out, maybe find out if the tribe needed to deal with this as well. And one of the chairmen of the Ottoman Nation said, "How would you feel in a reality, because this is our reality, if suddenly Homeland Security said it was okay to go plow the gravesite of your family without any consideration, without any discussion, without any accommodation, but just did it?" These laws that we're talking about gives, at that level, that kind of power and authority to Homeland Security. Operational control is going to be the key word today, and it's curious that nobody from Border Patrol was invited to come and testify, because they will testify we have 0 incidents in which we've been impeded from being able to carry out our mission.
Expert after expert has explained to House Republicans that waiving bedrock environmental protections for millions of Americans living and working within 100 miles of our borders is not the answer to our border security challenges. But they do not appear to be listening. This bill waives the Clean Water Act. We will not keep undocumented workers out of the country by letting pollution into our drinking water. The bill waives the Clean Air Act. We will not keep illegal drugs out of our country by letting smog into the lungs of children and the elderly in our country. The bill waives the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. We will not honor our national sovereignty by trampling the sovereign rights of Native people to protect the grave sites of their ancestors. The bottom line is, we will not prevent illegal entry into this country by degrading the quality of life for nearly 2/3 of the people who already live here. As you can see by these maps, the entire area of 10 states, including my home state of Massachusetts, would be turned into a dead zone for environmental protections if this bill were to be enacted. At the whim of the Department of Homeland Security and with an exemption from any judicial review of whether the action was arbitrary or capricious, the department could merely exclude any area marked in these maps from a wide array of environmental laws. We all know we need to beef up our borders against illegal immigration, against terrorism, and against the drug trade. But we should be doing that with soldiers outfitted with night vision goggles, not with short-sighted bills that do nothing to help secure our country. The strongest possible security that has now been built around our airports, around our ports in general, to make sure that Al-Qaeda cannot penetrate again. What have we done since Abdul Ghani Miskini, one of the Millennium bombing plotters in Los Angeles, who came in through the port of Boston on an LNG tanker coming in from Algeria? We now have the LNG tankers stopped 10 miles offshore so that they can be completely and totally inspected to make sure that there are no terrorists and that there are no bombs on those ships. We have taken the actions to protect our citizenry. But on the other hand, we do not want to see those protections, which are in fact in place to protect the health, the well-being, the environment of Massachusetts and our whole country, undermined in order to advance a cause that has already been dealt with by the Department of Homeland Security, by the citizens of Massachusetts and the citizens of all of the other states in the Union. Let me turn now and to recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Garamendi.
Thank you, Mr. Markey. 1505. How absurd can a piece of legislation be? This has got to be the epitome of stupidity. How can it just go, what in the world are you doing? What would cause anybody to put together a bill that would put a federal agency in total control of most of the people of America? Think about it. This agency would have the power to literally control the lives of the greatest majority of America's population. 100 miles from the border, a federal agency having basically unlimited opportunity, power to control what goes on within that 100-mile stretch. This is scary. This is really scary legislation. Way, way beyond environmental. Way beyond that. Republicans like to rail against the power of government. And yet they introduce a bill that gives a federal agency, Homeland Security, the power to literally regulate 100 miles inland of all of America's borders. Take a look at that map and you go, oh my God. Would anybody introduce a piece of legislation that would give a federal agency that power? But the answer is yes. There is such a group here in Congress that would do that. This is scary stuff. This is not just about the environment, although it is clearly an attack on the environment. It's clearly an attack on agriculture, cattle, grazing, sheep, other kinds of activities within the border. Clearly an attack on hunters. To stop that, you want to hunt some of the greatest hunting areas of America? All it takes is some idiot in the Department of Homeland Security saying no, and they have the power to shut it down.
What Chertoff ended up doing in 5 different waivers, each one of them expanded. The last couple of waivers, which are blessed in this legislation, actually not only waived those 36 federal laws, but also waived any state and local law or regulation that was related to those laws. It's in the Federal Register, read it. I mean, so DHS, if you have power, you exercise it. All power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
What?